How to lose body fat fast without exercise. I'm Freya, co-founder of Potential Coaching, and I've helped over 500 women lose body fat without restriction. So if that's something that you're interested in, hit the link in my description box for information on our coaching, and make sure to like and subscribe. Losing body fat without exercise is all about focusing on calorie intake rather than expenditure. As we all know, fat loss is achieved via a calorie deficit, so calories in need to be lower than calories out. But if we are not looking at exercise and we are taking that out of the equation, it means that we really need to knuckle down on the calories that are eaten. And for that to be effective, we need to nail the maths. No matter what approach you choose to take, it is just about eating lower than what you burn. So here's what you need to know about the maths of fat loss. The first thing you need to do is work out your maintenance calories. But what are maintenance calories? Your body requires a certain amount of calories and energy to sustain its life-sustaining functions. For example, processes like your lungs breathing, your heart beating, your eyes blinking. But then you also do a baseline amount of movement outside of that, e.g. you get out of bed and you go and brush your teeth and you walk downstairs. They are still burning calories. So your maintenance calories are the calories needed to match your calorie expenditure made up via your metabolism and any of that non-exercise related movement. So for example, someone might have a resting metabolism calorie amount of 1,500, but with their daily non-intentional exercise movement, they may burn 2,000 calories a day. So their maintenance calories are 2,000. If you eat your maintenance calories, your body fat percentage will neither drop nor increase. So how do we work out maintenance calories? The most simple way is just to use an online calorie calculator. It's done via an equation that takes into consideration your age, your gender, your activity level, your height, your weight. And of course, you can plug all of those numbers into the equation yourself, but the quickest way to do it is just find an online calorie calculator. So now you know your maintenance calories, we now need to figure out how much you should be eating in order to put yourself into a calorie deficit to achieve fat loss. General rule of thumb is to minus off 500 calories. So if your maintenance calories is calculated at 2,000, minus off 500 to give you a calorie intake goal of 1,500. The less you take off your maintenance calories, the slower your fat loss will be. The more you take off your maintenance calories, the quicker your fat loss will be. However, you need to ensure that you still do it at a rate that is achievable and doesn't make you binge and then in turn skyrocket your calories. We then need to make sure that we are looking at data and not feelings. If you are not adding calorie expenditure to the equation at all, we need to make sure that you have nailed your calories in, and the only way to do that is by food tracking. Intuitive eating, most of the time, doesn't really work. And you may feel like you're in a calorie deficit, but the reality of it is you're probably not. When you don't track your food, things like the sugary coffee that you bought at work, the pinch of your son's chicken nuggets at the end of dinner time, they can all add up and eventually you are way over your calorie deficit calories. So we need to ensure that we are looking at data. There is also a difference between having your calories controlled and just eating healthier. You might do a bit of a 180 with your diet, start eating loads more fruit or vegetables, start adding some good whole fats like avocado and nuts, but just because you are eating healthier and cleaner does not mean that you are eating less calories. So we need to ensure that your calories are super controlled. Track your food 100% of the time. If you have a social event where you simply cannot track your food, ensure that on that day you are using principles like fasting. So don't eat breakfast that day, and when you go out for your social event, just make sure you are choosing the lower fat options on the menu. Avoid drinking any alcohol. They are completely empty and meaningless calories and will just end up bumping up your figure by the end of the day. The most efficient way to track and weigh your food is by doing it beforehand. Use tracking as a tool to plan out your food instead of tracking retrospectively. There is no point getting to the end of the day and then sitting down and tracking your food and realizing that you are 300 calories over. By then, the damage is already done. What you need to do is sit down the day before or the morning of and track all of your food. Maybe give yourself a 200 calorie buffer for any snacks that you might fancy during the day, but that way you know that your calories are in check, but also that you're hitting your protein goal too. I also want you to flip your mindset in terms of how time consuming tracking your calories is. We are all very quick to say, oh, I can't be bothered. Look at your screen time. How much time do you spend on your phone every single day just doom scrolling at the latest TikToks? Could you just allow for 5 minutes of the evening to plan out your food for the next day? Also remember that there is no change without change. Does it actually take that much more effort to cook another pan of pasta in comparison to just cooking one? Yes, it's another pan to wash up, but so what? Do you actually want to achieve the goals that you set out? If you do, it's just those small hurdles that you need to overcome and realise that it's not actually that much more effort. The wonderful thing about controlling your fat loss through your nutrition is how not time consuming it is. 300 calories burnt on the treadmill may take up to or over an hour. However, you could eat 300 calories of Nutella in 0.5 seconds. So controlling your intake is way more time efficient than controlling your deficit through exercise. You need to ensure that you are also controlling your weekends. I always say to my fat loss one-to-one clients, if you worked 70% of your hours, you would not expect 100% of your pay at the end of the month. This is the same with your results. If you are only on track 60 to 70% of the time, you cannot expect the results that you have set out to achieve. If you just let your calorie intake rocket of a weekend, that is potentially going to take you out of your deficit for your week and put you back to square one. Make sure you look at your calories as an average, and if you know you're going to have a more calorie rich weekend, just sacrifice a few more calories in the week to compensate for this. Now, I know this video has been about how to achieve fat loss without exercise, but just touching on exercise ever so slightly, and this is not gym related exercise, this is not doing any weight training, this is just about how to increase your calories with very little effort. The best exercise you can do for fat loss is increasing your step count, which will increase the calories you burn per day. So if you don't want to hit the gym, that's fine. If you don't want to do any home workouts, that's also fine. But the best thing that you can do is get out and increase your step count. It's good for the body, but it's also good for the mind too.